You probably believe a caveman was old at 30, ancient, practically dying. You picture him hunched over, gray before his time, gone by 40. Almost everyone believes this. The real answer is far stranger. Your ancestors weren't dying at 30 because their bodies wore out early. They were dying because the world around them was brutal. Infants died in huge numbers. Disease swept through with no warning. A broken leg could kill you. Average all of that into one number, and you get a statistic that looks like a short life. Imagine 10 people are born. 5 die before their first birthday. The other 5 live to 70. The average age at death is 35, but not one single person actually died at 35. The number is an illusion. It's built from tragedy at the beginning of life, not decline at the end. This is the mistake almost every documentary makes. It flattens a population's suffering into one misleading digit. Then it calls that digit a fact about aging. Anthropologist Kristen Hawkes studied the Hadza. They're a hunter-gatherer population in Tanzania. They still live largely as foragers today. What she found broke the old assumption apart. Even with high infant mortality, people who survived childhood regularly lived into their 60s. Some lived into their 70s. Grandmothers were common. Great-grandmothers were not unheard of. The population wasn't made of the young, it was full of elders. So why does the caveman died at 30 idea feel so true? Because early anthropologists made the same mistake you probably just made. They looked at skeletal remains. They calculated an average age at death across the whole population, infants included. Then they reported that number as if it described a typical adult's life. It doesn't. It describes how brutal early childhood was. Two very different stories, one number pretending to tell both. Once researchers separated child mortality from adult mortality, the picture changed completely. Michael Gervin and Hillard Kaplan published a landmark study in 2007. They analyzed lifespan data across dozens of hunter-gatherer societies. Their conclusion was striking. If a person survived to age 15, they had a strong chance of living into their 60s. Many reached their 70s. The most common age at which adults died clustered around 70. Not 30, 70. Think about what that means. The idea of the elder is not a modern invention. It's not something civilization gifted to humanity. Old age has been part of the human story for tens of thousands of years. Grandparents weren't rare exceptions. They were a normal part of every community. And they weren't just present, they were essential. Here's where the story gets stranger. There's a theory called the grandmother hypothesis. Kristen Hawkes helped develop it. It asks a simple question. Why do human females live for decades after they stop being able to reproduce? Most mammals don't. Once reproduction ends, their life ends soon after. Evolution has no obvious reason to keep an organism alive once it can't pass on genes. But humans are different. Human females often live 30 years past menopause, sometimes 40, sometimes 50. That's an evolutionary puzzle, unless survival itself was the advantage. Grandmothers helped gather food. They helped care for grandchildren. They freed mothers to have more children, spaced closer together. A grandmother wasn't a burden on the tribe. She was a resource so valuable that evolution selected for her presence. Longevity may have been shaped by usefulness, not luck. This reframes everything you thought you knew. Early human life was not a world of the young, dying fast and often. It was a world where surviving childhood was the hard part. Once you did, you had a real chance at what we'd now call old age. So where did the 30-year myth actually come from? Partly from those flawed early statistics, but partly from something else. Popular culture loves a dramatic image. A short, brutal life makes for a better story than the truth. The truth is more complicated. It's also more human. The idea that ancient life was nothing but early death fits neatly into a flattering story about modern progress. It's just not accurate. There's a deeper irony here. Your ancestors who survived childhood may have faced fewer chronic diseases than you do right now. Researchers studied the Saimene in Bolivia. They live a lifestyle closer to early humans. Their rates of heart disease are strikingly low. Heart disease quietly kills millions of people in industrialized nations every year. The Tsimanes' bodies were shaped by movement. By varied diet. By constant physical activity. Their markers of cardiovascular health often surpass what modern populations achieve. Hey, if you made it this far, thank you, genuinely. If something's on your mind, or you've got a question, or you just want to say something to me, drop it in the comments. I promise, I read every single one. Your thoughts, your ideas, even your criticism actually matter to me. See you in the next video. Take care of yourself.